Hello. I'm sitting here enjoying my beautiful Saturday evening. If you live in my neck of the woods, this is definitely a moment where you should be outside enjoying it. We've had some remarkable weather, and today is right in that wheelhouse. So it's just absolutely spectacular. So I hope you're out there enjoying it. It's the right thing to do for sure. So this morning I had a really great experience. I went to a farmer's market and ran into some people who run a booth there that I know, and I've taught their children. And we were just catching up, and I was just struck by the gratitude that they were able to express toward me, to me, about my experience with their kids, my impact on their life, let's say. I had a great time teaching both kids, and they were wonderful, and are wonderful, and their parents recognize it. And it was just a real joy. First of all, it felt great. It's so rewarding to have people give you feedback of positive impacts you make in the world, whatever those happen to be. In my case, it was teaching someone's children. But the other thing it brought to the fore for me was it was so obvious how gratitude and seeking ways to appreciate and find joy in things in life was present in their life. These are people who definitely have a gratitude mindset, and it just showed. And it just reminds me of how important it is. And it's easy to say, well, be grateful, but gratitude it really is a task. It's a skill. You have to work at it. It doesn't just come naturally. In fact, for many people, if they are passive about the process, they actually become ungrateful. They develop a habit of ingratitude. The tragedy is ingratitude invariably yields resentment and bitterness. You tend to look at others and resent their good fortune, or you tend to look at your life in terms of all of your misfortunes. And then when you see others who don't appear to have your misfortunes, you even tend to resent them and blame them. And it's a very miserable way to live. In the long run, you squander a lot of happiness unnecessarily. But it has another very tragic consequence. If you live a life in a state of ingratitude, if you're constantly resentful and bitter, which is inevitable if you are living in a state of ingratitude, that can be fine. You might sound like the snarky one, or the person who a little cynical, and maybe people think you're witty because of it, or something like that. Could be because you're always cutting down something and cutting to the quick, as they say. However, if you are resentful and bitter, and you experience tragedy in your life, and if you're not experiencing tragedy right now, just wait, you will. Happens to everybody. In that moment, you will be upset. And you will feel, why me? Why us? Why that person around me? Why did this happen to my spouse, my child, me? Whatever the case may be. And you will be angry. If you go into that as an ungrateful person, tragedy turns into hell. You will be in hell. However, if you've cultivated a life of gratitude, and you look at the positive, and you live in that way, the tragedies will still come. But you will be able to weather them. You will be able to see beyond the immediate misery. You will seek whatever good, and it may not feel like there's much, but whatever good could be there, you will seek. And lessons will be learned. And in all likelihood, you'll grow from the experience. There's no guarantee. tragedy can knock you sideways completely, ending it all. That's always been true. That will always be true. No amount of complaining or whining or protesting will ever change that. It won't change. Absolutely not. And what's even more prescient is that we live really in an age that is unique. It is not the norm, but people think of it as the norm. We think it's normal to have so many things that we can take for granted. Just reliable fresh water, reliable systems to remove wastewater. That would be human wastewater. Reliable systems to bring electricity. Reliable ways to get food and nourishment and shelter. Healthcare. And sure, people say, oh, healthcare is terrible. Okay. Is it perfect? Not even close. But I would wager the poorest among us had all their vaccines as children. The poorest among us were able to get braces. Poorest among us are able to go into an ER and get care when needed. So we sort of swim in a very unique time. And one of the problems with that is you can lose sight of the contrast of what it could be. And it can be very, very, very bad. And it's easy to lose sight of it when you're living in a relatively comfortable environment. Your whole life, you're swimming in it. You just don't know you're wet. So it takes effort. You have to really step back and count those blessings. Seek things to be grateful for and choose to view things in your life that you might otherwise take for granted as sources of things to be grateful for. Simple. Did you have access to fresh water today? That's a great place to start. Did you have a place to sleep? Have you been fed today? Do you have a cell phone? And can you charge it? These are remarkable things, and I could go on. I could list 500 of these things. It's easy. It's so easy if you try. Once you get going, it becomes obvious. They're everywhere, and then you just see them all around you. But it's a real joy when you see other people living it. And the parents I interacted with today, I just been floating around all day, just the joy of that experience. It was so wonderful to talk to them, and just the love and the energy of gratitude it just pervaded everything. And I went about the whole rest of my day just in a pure state of joy. So thank you if you're watching. So yeah, that's all I got. Beautiful Saturday night. And by the way, 4B's syrup. Very much worth the price. Until next time.